Francis Scott Fitzgerald was born in 1896 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Since the beginning, he has always been fascinated by the world of the Southern's rich aristocracy. Scott Fitzgerald, with the economic help of his mother's family, manages to complete his studies, demonstrating his writing talent. In 1913, arrives at Princeton, and at a dance party knows Zelda Sayer. They get married in 1920. After an intense period, he faced the serious economic crisis of 1929. Scott starts drinking, and in 1930, Zelda begins to suffer from a severe form of schizophrenia. The personal situation of Scott collapses because of its last novel's failure. In 1940, he was struck by a heart attack and died at the age of 45 years. We are in 1920, the so-called Roaring Twenties for the great US economic growth, but also we are in the years of the explosion of jazz music, the evolution of woman lines, the development of Art Deco and Prohibitionism, where production, use, and trade of alcohol are denied, causing the phenomenon of smuggling. Initially, The Great Gatsby is not taken into account by the cinema because of its poor critical success. In 1974, there is the famous adaptation with Mia Farrow and Robert Redford, but thanks to the Australian director Baz Luhrmann, in 2013, the celebrated novel arrives at the cinema with a cast composed of Leonardo DiCaprio, Carey Mulligan, and Tobey Maguire. This is the fifth film adaptation of the work of Fitzgerald. In fact, The Great Gatsby is considered one of the great American novels due to its intense description of the first half of the interwar period, known as the famous Roaring Twenties. In this society, the aim of the majority of people is to get rich, and in fact, this is the real American dream. Nick Carraway is a young aspirating writer who arrives in New York in the spring of 1922. He is searching for his personal American dream, that is to become a famous writer. Nick became neighbor of his cousin Daisy, married to Tom Buchanan, and of the mysterious J. Gatsby, organizer of many wild and extravagant parties at his luxurious villa in West Egg. During a summer night, Nick receives an invitation to one of the Gatsby parties. Gatsby seems to take a liking to Nick. In fact, one day, he offers Nick to spend a day together on his expensive yellow card. It is on that day that Jay reveals to Nick his history, his past. The teenager James Getz, who comes from a young peasant's family of North Dakota, runs away from the family, sure that he could transform himself. So he changes his name by taking the pseudonym of Jay Gatsby. When he arrives in Louisville, meets Daisy and falls in love madly, but the differences between their social status and the war separate them. Jay comes back in America, scraping together a decent fortune obtained often illegally, begins to organize parties, living in the hope to meet again Daisy and to win her love again. But Daisy marries a rich man, Tom Buchanan, who betray her with Myrtle Wilson, a woman married to a mechanic. Gatsby, thanks to Nick, manages to reconcile with Daisy. Between Daisy and Gatsby, a secret relation arises, but it is an anguished relation. Nick becomes the witness and the narrator of the tragic love story. Gatsby is certain to have found the beloved woman until a day they all meet in a hotel in New York rented for the special situation, where Tom provokes Gatsby in the presence of Daisy, revealing his real identity. Daisy, shocked, escapes with Gatsby. She is driving towards home when she runs over Myrtle, who dies on impact. Myrtle's husband discovers that the car belongs to Gatsby, but Gatsby doesn't protest his innocence in order to defend Daisy. Daisy leaves Gatsby and goes to Tom. At the end, Gatsby dies, killed by Myrtle's husband, who then kills himself. Nick is the only person who really becomes attached to Gatsby. He will organize the funeral, but unlike his parties, no one will go. The Great Gatsby movie has brought back again at the peak of success one of the main literary masterpieces of the last century. It is considered a masterpiece both for the analyzed themes in the work, especially the detailed description of the American upper social class, the tragic awakening of the American dream, and the impossibility to truly love. And this is Gatsby's dream. Moreover, it is a masterpiece because, reading the biography of the author, appear many aspects of Fitzgerald and Zelda's wife. For example, the portrait of Zelda described in The Spoiled and Opportunist Daisy. In fact, Zelda, as Daisy, believed that was unthinkable that a rich girl could marry a poor boy. The movie adaptation has been coherent with the narrative development of the book. As regards the similarities with the book, the film is respectful in the conversation and in the plot. However, there are some little differences with respect to the original work. For example, many particulars of Gatsby's past have been omitted. The daily, working, and love routine of Nick is completely ignored. In fact, his adventures and their relationship with Jordan are not mentioned. The title Great Gatsby may be referred to the power, to the reputation, and the prosperity of this man, who, in reality, reveals himself as a weak and romantic man, searching always for his lost love.